Today on Forbes, why the diary of a CEO founder turned down a $100 million deal to build a podcast empire. It's a Monday morning in March, and Steven Bartlett sits in his studio in London's hip Shoreditch neighborhood to record the latest episode of his hit podcast, The Diary of a CEO. With more than 10 million YouTube subscribers and 25 million social media followers, the interview show is one of the most popular in the world. Only Joe Rogan has more listeners when it comes to hosted podcasts. On this particular day in March, Bartlett is recording a debate between economics influencer Gary Stevenson and entrepreneur Daniel Priestley, where they'll argue whether entrepreneurship can save the middle class. The episode will later attract 3.6 million views and more than 46,000 comments on YouTube alone. The debate is fiery, but the buzzy content is only partly why millions tune in. Data plays a vital role, too. Bartlett, who launched 2 social media companies before hitting podcast fame, has already tested and optimized every aspect of the show. He's calibrated each detail for maximum attention: the capital letters and exclamation points in the episode's title, the lighting, the camera angles, even his raised eyebrows in the preview thumbnail photo. Each factor is part of Bartlett's blueprint to attract viewers. The 32-year-old Bartlett says, quote, "I've not met a single podcast network, company, media conglomerate in the world that can help you grow your podcast using the modern platforms in the way we can." And grow he has. Launched in 2017 as a hobby to let Bartlett get inside the minds of other CEOs, the podcast has attracted more than 1 billion streams, including 50 million monthly listeners in December alone. Guests have ranged from comedian Trevor Noah and YouTube titan Mr. Beast to a mix of self-help experts including longevity gurus, nutritionists, and sex therapists. In 2024, thanks to his mix of compelling content and growth hacking, Bartlett says the franchise generated $20 million in revenue from brand partnerships with brands like LinkedIn, Oracle, and Shopify, speaking engagements, and hawking products like hoodies and branded journals. Now he's out to make even more, and do it as a free agent. While other podcast royalty have signed mega deals with streaming networks, like Alex Cooper's $125 million partnership with SiriusXM and Joe Rogan's $250 million deal with Spotify, Bartlett is building on his own. It's not for lack of interest. Last October, Bartlett flew from London to New York City to meet with several of the world's biggest media networks to discuss potential partnerships. Bartlett won't say who or how much, but Forbes estimates that $100 million contracts were in play. Why turn down frothy deals? For Bartlett, the choice is simple. He believes he can do it better solo. He says, quote, "We looked at what they did in terms of testing, experimentation, innovation, and I felt like I was looking at the past. When I see what happens here, I'm looking at the future." The future was far from certain back in 2017 when Bartlett launched the podcast. Unknown in the social media sphere and lacking a significant following, Bartlett leaned on data analytics and constant experimentation to grow. Soon, he was A/B testing every aspect of the podcast: keywords, captions, punctuation, even whether to smile in the preview photo. Looking serious usually worked best. But it was 2020 before he really began investing in the show. Bartlett says it was a 2023 episode with former Google exec Mo Gaudat that was a game changer for the podcast. Bartlett says, quote, "Apple said it was the most shared podcast episode of 2023 in this part of the world." He adds, quote, "That episode taught me that the most important thing in podcasting isn't actually the amount of followers someone has or how famous they are. It's ultimately about the value that it gives, because people will share it." For full coverage and to see a behind-the-scenes video tour and interview with Bartlett, check out Alexandra York's piece on Forbes.com. This is Kieran Meadows from Forbes. Thanks for tuning in.